Skwiible, and welcome to Be or Not to Be Part 2. Go watch it.
To be or not to be. We didn't even get to see this at the beginning. It was saved from my live stream or whatever. William Shakespeare, whatever the heck, whenever he died, was well known for borrowing from existing literature when writing his plays. Romeo and Juliet is pretty much lifted entirely from Arthur Brooks' poem, The Tragical History of Romeus and Juliet. Dude didn't even change the names. And, as recent Shakespeare scholarship has established, the family play William Shakespeare Presents Hamlet was lifted from the wholesale from the volume you're about to enjoy, To Be or Not to Be. To Be or Not to Be is both the earliest recorded example of the books as game genre, as well as the first instance ever in the then newish English language that was kicking around of an adventure being chosen by you, the reader. We've gone ahead and added illustrations, plus we've taken the liberty of marking with tiny Yorick skulls the choices Shakespeare himself made when he plagiarized this book back in olden times. They're there in case you wish to put yourself in Shakespeare's shoes, reading this book as he did, stealing plot elements wholesale and classing up the language as he/you went go. However, that is not the only way to read this book. Feel free to explore your other options, as each time you read this book, you can go on a different adventure. Assuming you don't read the book, whatever the heck that number is, times, at which point the adventure will start to repeat, and they'll probably seem pretty familiar as long before then anyway. Gosh! Now take yourself back into history, when ghosts walked the earth and nobody knew velociraptors were even a thing. Steer yourselves to experience the magic of Shakespeare as it was meant to be experienced, in non-deterministic narrative structure, where you end up thinking maybe you made a wrong decision. So you mark the pages you were just on, so you can always look back and make a different choice if you die for some dumb reason. Die in a book? To be or not to be, that is the adventure. Okay, so I'm really bad at reading, so maybe the narration would have been easier for you guys to watch, but me as a Let's Player has to do something, right? Like, come on. Okay. Choose your character. Man, what if I just need the acknowledgements instead? What if I just read the acknowledgements instead? You can't tell me what to do, smart guy. I'm just gonna keep reading. Choose your character. You've just been born. Congratulations. Good work on that thing. Okay, we already read that. Okay. I'm gonna be Ophelia this time. So, because we already heard this stuff, I'm just gonna skip it. I'm sorry if I'm, like, ruining the book for you guys. Book, game, whatever. To be she! Choose to play as Ophelia. I got a little achievement. Yay. Right. You're Ophelia. You're a beautiful and independent young woman, and although it makes you roll your eyes when you think about it, you've fallen in love with a prince. Prince Hamlet is funny and charming, and he seems to like you a lot. You try not to get too excited about it because you're worried you might jinx it, but things are really going great. Only it's been hard doing the long distance thing while you've both been off at university, and while you've loved studying capital S science, and you're sure Hamlet loves studying capital U undeclared. It hasn't been easy. Undeclared. Now that you're both back together in Denmark for his father's funeral and his mother's second wedding, it's been harder still. Hamlet's really sad, and you can't blame him for that, since, you know, his dad died, but you wish there was something you could do to help him. When you last saw him, Hamlet mentioned how the castle seemed cold and drafty, and for some reason it struck with you. You've been sitting at your desk trying to think of something you could give him that would help with that. A way of cheering him up a little. Remind him that he's still got people who care about him. He wears these cloaks all the time, but then he's always taking them off. He's taking them off in warm rooms and putting them back on in cold ones. If only there was some way you could keep the rooms at a uniform temperature so he wouldn't need to constantly be adjusting his clothes throughout the day. But to do that, you need some way of measuring heat and a way of transporting it throughout the castle. Perhaps through a series of pipes. Your thoughts are interrupted by a knock at your door. Who is it? You call. It's me, says your brother. Come on, let me in. I don't know what that voice was, but I'm gonna do it. I'm busy. Okay, I'm busy. I can't do it. I'm busy. You shut through the door to Laertes. I'm leaving for France soon. Don't you want to say goodbye? No. Apparently not. You shout in reply. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Laertes yells. He storms off, stomping all the way. Well, I'm a jerk. You sit in silence for a moment. He stomps back. Say bye to Dad for me, okay? Okay, well, you yell through the door. He storms off again, to France, I guess. Brothers, am I right? Return to your work. Alright. At your desk, you continue to work on the problem of automatically heating the castle. Hours turn into days, and you're generally left alone by both your family and your boyfriend. Your father is ignoring you. It's no big deal, and while you're a little worried about Hamlet not stopping by more often, he has asked you to leave him alone for a while he mourns, and you're respecting his wishes. But if you're going to be honest with yourself, you've also gotten really absorbed into this problem. You decide to split the problem into sections, delivering heat and knowing when to deliver heat. It would be possible to put servants in every room and have them report when it's too cold, but that's both expensive and unreliable. It depends on the servant, the warmth of their clothes, how much they love to lie to people about what temperature their skin is sensing, and so on. You're wandering the castle grounds when it hits you. You've been thinking about how water expands when it freezes, and about how that could be used to tell you when it's cold, but it's not much use for measuring temperatures outside the freezing points. Your father, Polonius, happens to wander by, talking to himself about the evils of drink, and you realize, alcohol. The right alcohol would expand linearly with heat, and by putting it in a slender glass vial, you could measure the size of that liquid, which would correspond 1-to-1 with temperature. What? But set markings on each of these glass vials at the same temperatures. Put the same, whatever. And you've got a universal, comparable, and consistent way of measuring heat. So she's gonna make a freaking thermometer. Oh my gosh. You wouldn't have to rely on a servant's impression. They could just tell you what line the alcohol has reached. Oh my gosh, why am I so bad at reading? You run back to your room to start working on the prototype. Just as you complete it, you hear a knock at your door. Who is it? You call. And oh my, who should answer from the other side of the door? Your boyfriend, your father, or your best friend? Boyfriend! I don't know why. I was just playing as him. Mind control. Control reality using Ophelia's thoughts. I did that. You decide you want Hamlet to be on the other side of the door. Open it, and Hamlet really is at the other side of the door. That's so freaky. How'd you do that? Hamlet steps into your room. You haven't seen each other for a while. It's so great to see him. You run up and throw your arms around him and you kiss. It's just like the old times. But the moment passes, and when you look at his face, you can see concern written all over it. He's troubled by something. Ask him or wait for him to tell you. I'm gonna wait, because I seem like a jerk, so I'm doing it. You wait, doing nothing, and he pulls away from you and holds you at arm's length. Listen, he says, and then he begins unbuttoning his jacket, taking his garters off, and, oh gosh, yes, he's actually doing it. He's fouling his stock. What does that even mean? I'm scared. What's wrong, Hamlet? You ask in alarm. What you say next sounds like the obvious question, but you answer it anyway. Why are you fouling your stockings? Instead of answering, he grabs you by the wrist. You come to the entirely obvious conclusions that he's not acting like himself. This conclusion is reinforced in the next few moments when he moves his other hand to his forehead and as if he might faint. But instead of fainting, he stares at you intensely. Hamlet, I don't know what you're doing. You begin, and he sighs really loudly. It's the most intense sigh you've ever heard. It's actually kind of impressive. Look, if you'll just talk to me, You begin, and he sighs again so loudly that it literally drowns out your words. Fine, weirdo, let's play the wrist-holding game. Yay! You met his eyes, and he sighs one of those ultimate sighs again, and then gets up and leaves in what can only be described as the creepiest way possible. Walking with his head rinsed over his shoulders so we can watch you even as he crabs walks out the door. What? Well, that was weird. Maybe he's sick. And you decide to check in with your dad because, as annoying as he is, he does have some experience in those matters. Oh my gosh. Follow Hamlet and ask him what's wrong. Maybe you can help him sort things out. I want to follow the crab walking weirdo. You ask him what's wrong, and well, there's no other way to put this, so I'll give it to you straight. Hamlet tells you about a spooky ghost and a plan for murdering his stepfather Claudius, pretender to the throne. I'll be frank, it sounds crazy. A ghost murderer? But he is your friend and lover, and you're not going to leave him hanging out to dry. As gently as you can, you tell him you're pretty sure ghosts don't exist, but even if they do, he needs to be certain that the ghost he saw was actually the ghost of his father. What if it was some other ghost trying to mess things up? That seems to give him pause. Hamlet admits he never actually asked the ghost for information, only his dad would know. It's possible the ghost could be an imposter. I'll come with you tonight, sweetie, you say. We'll go together, and if a ghost shows up, we'll figure out what to do. You're confident no ghost will appear and that this will all just go away. You take his hand and squeeze it. Hamlet looks up at you. You can see his relief. Okay, he says, smiling. What do you do? Okay, go see the ghost, I guess. Evening comes and Hamlet leads you to the spot outside where he first saw the ghost. We have to wait till around midnight, he says. I think that's when it normally shows up. To pass the time, you play a storytelling game, and you enjoy where you say one word and he says the next word, and neither of you really knows where the story will go. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful prince who wanted to kiss his girlfriend. That's cheating, you say, and then you're kissing. Okay, what the frick? What now? Make out for a while, or don't make out because, and you can't believe you're thinking about this, but what if a ghost catches you making out? That one. You turn your head away you turn your head away after a few smooches. That's enough, you say. You don't want your dad catching us making out. Hamlet grins and pulls you close to him. I think he'd be cool with it, he says. That's a really weird thing to say, but you excuse it because you know people can say some really weird things when they're way horny. You kiss some more, but finally push him away for real this time. Okay. What makes you think he will want to spend the afterlife watching us make out, you say. Well, it's what I'd want to do. What? He says with a smile. I mean, if I were me and I was also the ghost, he explains. You're about to reply when you're interrupted by an awkward cough coming from above you. Looking up, you see what, for all the world, looks like Hamlet's dad. Hamlet Sr. Only he's transparent and floating and you can see through his bod. Hey guys, the ghost says, you're too shocked to say anything. Ghosts are real, Ophelia, surprise! Hamlet looks up at the ghost and waves. Hi Dad, he says. Demand the ghost proves who he claims to be. It doesn't matter who he is. The real question is, if this ghost is so big into murdering dudes, why doesn't he just murder Claudius himself? Riddle him that one. Excuse me, you say. The ghost pretends not to hear you. Excuse me, Mr. Ghost? You inquire, raising your hand. Sup, says the ghost. Hamlet tells me you want him to kill King Claudius, you say. Yeppers. Yeppers? Says the ghost. Well, you'll pardon my rudeness, but why does a ghost need someone else to commit a murder? Ghosts can bang pots around or whatever. Can't you just sneak up behind Claudius and hit him over the head with one? Hamlet pulls you aside. Ophelia, what are you doing? I'm asking a question, you say. Who is this creature? Asks the ghost. Who am I? You reply, eulously. Don't you know? Aren't you Hamlet Sr.? She has her doubts, Hamlet explains to the ghost. The ghost again addresses you. You doubt me? He bellows. I seek proof. You say, oh my gosh, this is so boring. Like, why am I so bored? You say, standing your ground. The ghost becomes angrier, redder, almost changing shape. Lightning crackles around him. Then here is the proof you speak, he bellows, as a tremendous bolt of lightning flashes out to you. Rather than electrocuting you, the lightning actually forces itself into a pleasant letter that deposits itself into your hand. In it, Hamlet Sr. explains that while ghosts can bang pots together, it's hard to do. And something like murder is tricky enough to pull when you're corporeal. Makes sense, I guess. The note goes on to mention some of the fun times you had together in the past, and some of your secrets, shared jokes, too. You laugh when you read them. Oh man, this is Hamlet's dad, that's for sure. What kind of fun times was Hamlet's girlfriend having with his dad? You have added the nice note to your inventory. What? But already you know it's like a birthday card, which you'll keep for a while and then wonder when you should throw it out. Oh. I always lose mine. I don't think I have any of my birthday cards. The sentiment inside is still sweet, but are you going to keep a giant stack of birthday cards growing ever larger until you're 80? No. So let's say you drop it now. Less heartbreak that way. You have dropped the nice note. What now? Talk about the murder thing with the ghost. You go over the basics of the murder plot with the ghost and Hamlet, and surprise, you see some flaws in it that Hamlet somehow missed. So, Hamlet is supposed to murder Claudius, you say? Yes, Hamlet and the ghost reply in unison. Then they notice they replied in unison and fist bump each other. Well, the ghost's fist goes through Hamlet's fist and stops a little inside it, but you can see what they were going for. And then Claudius will be dead and Hamlet will be king, you say? Yes, Hamlet and the ghost reply in unison again. And then they fist bump each other again, and it's even more off this time. They're not even aligned horizontally with each other. Come on, guys. So, what's to prevent Claudius from becoming a ghost and seeking his own revenge? You say, raising one eyebrow. Says the ghost. In fact, can ghosts kill each other? Because then the best case for us is that one of you ghost kills the other and then considers himself revenged. Worst case is that you can't kill each other, but instead exist as ghosts forever, which means that the two of you, each with an endless list of sins from long before anyone left alive was even born, will continue to meddle in the living world, revenging yourself against each other, back and forth for millennia to come. I think the ghost begins and then coughs. I think you only become the ghost under certain circumstances. Like being murdered when you still have things you want to complete in the mortal plane, you ask? Oh, right, that applied to Claudius too, the ghost says. Huh. What now? Make a counter arrangement for the murder being a good idea, or continue talking the ghost out of murder. Let's do that one. Even if we take all the ghost creation issues out of the equation, you go on, there's still the matter of revenge on its own, not being an ethical act. Not to mention the complicated issues surrounding the vigilante capital punishment, the ghost says. What is happening? What is even happening? Exactly, I'm sorry, Ghost King Hamlet, but I don't think it's a super rad idea, you say. Prince Hamlet nods in agreement. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, do what you can to punish him for my murder, though. Cool? The ghost says. You agree to work an undercover proof of the murder, and then work within the legal system to achieve a fair punishment for Claudius. Sounds reasonable, says the ghost. Alright, I guess I'm out. Thanks for the talk. I found it really useful. You and Hamlet do some legwork and track down where Claudius got the poison. The poison monger identifies Claudius in a lineup. Even though he's the king, Claudius is not above the law, and the case goes to court. The prosecution has no witness the witnesses to the actual murder, but means, motive, opportunity, and tons of circumstantial evidence. Claudius is found guilty of regicide and sentenced to 30 years in prison. He is sent to Verona, where he won't get any special treatment from the two gentlemen drafted to guard his cell. Hamlet's father is still dead, and this won't bring him back, but on the other hand, he's also a ghost, and you can talk to him at night. It's a pretty fair verdict, measure for measure. 100 out of 100 legal justice points. So it turns out you scored a possible 100 out of 100 in legal justice points. But unfortunately, you got like a 3 in adventure points. Man, that's baloney. That's what you get for working with the pre-existing legal system instead of employing unpredictable vigilante adventurism. Am I right? The end. Okay, well that's the only freaking other story I'm doing in this episode. That was a long time, and it was very boring. Hey look, he's being arrested. Woohoo! Woohoo! You found a piece of artwork. View it at any time in the art gallery under extras from the pause menu. What? No, I didn't get to see! Your stats this adventure. Fist bumps 2. Stockings full 1. Choices made 14. Times you were 1. Times you were not 0. Whatever that word is. I've said a lot of big words. I'm done. You've created a better story than Shakespeare. Why not use your limitless power to go on an all-new adventure? Now, I'm going to show you the credits while I do my exit. Apparently with party music. Okay, so I'm sorry if that was a little boring, but I had fun, and I hope you did too. So, I'm just gonna, I actually have to click through this, so I hope you had a great time. And I'll see you in the next episode. Gosh, I mean, I need to make an outro. Have a good day. Ta-ta. Do people say ta-ta? Is that a thing? Well, that's over then.